25 that will go in my watch pocket. Huh?
I did.
I'm getting rid of them all.
I don't need the
Thank you.
minutes, I just
One
need to
to
sign
my
in.
niece that went, just got on the department,
I did.
and then I got 238s, I'm gonna sell them. Little stem.
Sorry. 1 and 2. Yep, she just needs that one. That's the little one. Yep.
She said she didn't need minutes, but she's not even here. She said she didn't need minutes.
We'll just talk about you.
Okay.
She's good for that.
Really?
How's it going? Everybody doing good? We all doing good?
Was Michelle came up?
Everyone sleeping?
Good.
At night?
Very, very nice.
It used to be. So, getting in the right.
Almost
getting
too
in the
nice
right-
to be a
Getting in the
police
groove.
officer.
Yeah,
Good.
the right
But-
swing of things.
She told me since she was in the 3rd grade, she was gonna be a police officer.
Welcome to the April 2nd Finance Committee meeting. Tonight, short agenda, just to review the warrant articles. So we'll jump right into it and start with the warrants of the special town meeting since it's the shorter one. Article 1, see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds to supplement specific budget line items appropriated under Article 1 of the 2013 annual town meeting or otherwise amend said vote. All is recommended by the town manager as listed on the document entitled FY 2014 recommended line item transfers or take any action relative thereto.
That's a document you will not have.
Yeah. So we don't need to worry about that one today.
And it'd be a model, so that's.
Article 2, see the town will vote to transfer from available funds the amount of $5,000 to contract for professional services from the Collins Center at the University of Massachusetts, Boston, Mass, for the purpose of providing consulting services to the 2014 Charter Review Committee or take any action relative thereto.
Could I, quick comment on that, this was something that the moderator and I talked about, as you know, he's has to appoint a charter committee. I know he was probably going to do that after the election if you were reelected. As you probably know, nobody's running against him, so he's been already advertised for people to put out the word for volunteers. I have been advised, though, the language should probably be eliminate the Collins Center. They provide those services, but I did have a talk with town council, and one of the suggestions was, well, let me tell you, the point of the exercise is that this is a 10-year update required in the current charter. It's not a whole new charter, obviously. And the goal is to try to get just a little bit of staff support and some professional assistance so that the volunteers don't have that burden on them. Hopefully, you can only talk about half a dozen meetings or so. So it was suggested that with maybe just a little help from town council and some staff support, somebody who can, again, administratively review with minutes, et cetera, that we might be able, it might be more productive than bringing in an outside consultant rather than using town council when necessary to help with that. So just eliminating the Collins Center just for professional services, professional administrative services. So that's the intent of the article, and I think it makes a lot of sense because I think you guys know yourselves that one of the problems with getting volunteers is the administrative burden that people don't have the time for. And this is not intended to be a tremendously elongated process. So hopefully with some help, this can be done relatively quickly. And that's the intent. So there will be an amendment to the language you see here, but it's going to be basically the same intent, the same language.
I think is relevant for all of the articles that this is draft on both of these.
Correct.
Anything that's right on here is
Yeah,
draft.
I was supposed to say that. I'm sorry.
That's it.
So a motion to approve Article
Second.
2.
Second.
With
As
the-
amended.
with
Amendments.
amended language.
And then second.
Yeah, I did. I seconded it.
Is there discussion on it? All those in favor? Okay.
Not to be a point of order, I guess, say?
What's the amendment?
No, no, I have the amendment.
All right.
The point of order being, should you be actually voting on draft articles? I would have to review and research that because I'm not sure this is something we should be voting on in a draft article till it's a set article or set.
I would just offer that the selectmen have reviewed, they have not voted on the warrant only because town meeting, it happened the same night town meeting was put off, but they have reviewed these both warrants and have not indicated any intention to eliminate any of the articles. So obviously, if the article doesn't appear on the warrant ultimately,
So we can,
your vote is going to be of no value, so.
from the audience,
Is your intent to post your recommendations soon?
not tomorrow.
Reason I say that is because even, I agree, just with Deb, that, you know, voting on a draft is one thing, but you can always retake up these articles again. So this could be a you could be presenting a recommendation, if you will, knowing that it could be changed.
And then come back and address the ones that have
So
changed.
I'm saying, you're not gonna post them anywhere, you're just basically kind of doing a sense of the group right now. Or you could just say, we don't wanna vote on this, but that's up to you.
If everybody's all right with it, I'd like to go through and continue to review them. If there's changes, if the warrant gets reopened or there's changes to any of the articles, we can take those up as they come.
In other words, it's not really binding right now.
So should we just wait to vote then? It's almost a exercise in
Not
in
really.
futility. We're gonna have to redo it again.
You're gonna have to reconsider everything you're voting. I mean, if there's even, I believe, like, if we voted on Article 1 and then there's a wording change, you are going to have to reconsider it to vote the wording change anyway.
Right, so if there's no wording changes, and there's a ton of articles in here, that's my concern. I don't even know that we'll get through all of these tonight. If we can start getting through some of them, and they're not gonna change, if there's some that we're pretty set on.
Can we do a sense of the meeting, a sense of the group maybe? Kind of get an idea where we're at instead of actually taking a vote on a draft?
Then we're just gonna rehash them again when we vote.
Yeah, I think the voting would be the same thing, go ahead with the
Mm.
idea they could be reconsidered if there's any changes.
Make them all preliminary votes.
Well, any vote subject to reconsideration.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I just ask, all right, since they are in draft form,
Well, yeah, the warrant itself is in draft form because technically the board has not voted to.
when will that occur?
We don't have a date set, but I'm presuming it's going to be the last meeting in April.
So that's going to be cutting it really close. So most of these we're going to have to do in draft form. Am I wrong?
Because then we'd only have the month of May.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've always done these in draft form, haven't we? No? Okay.
You have to post your recommendations 10 days before town meeting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is like May 30th, 29th, to be on the safe side. And so you do have 8 weeks.
Almost 2 months.
Okay. So if we just kind of go over these so that we know what the basics are, and then wait until they're in regular form instead of draft form, we already have an idea and we can kind of go through the final ones quickly, right?
Sure. So you guys don't wanna take votes on any of them then, even if, my thought is if they're not gonna change, not every one of these is gonna change, do we expect that?
No, I don't expect anything to change. The only thing I expect is that there will be an additional article on the annual regarding the legislation regarding the tri-town. Other than that, I don't anticipate any changes.
So, yeah, I'd like to just keep going through them and address the ones that change unless there's some strong reason not to. And let's just get it out of the way. We don't know what we're gonna see for a budget and how much time that's gonna take.
I think it's the whole issue of voting on drafts, it's something that's a draft. I mean, that we've, I don't know, because we can go through them, but I see what you're saying, like, we're gonna have to go through them again to take the votes.
Yeah, which,
And then we're gonna have a time restraint.
right.
Can't we have a draft vote?
If nobody wants to go through them tonight, then we can pass over it and entertain another motion and,
I don't think it's a question of going over it tonight. I think it's a question of if we're going to have to vote on them again anyway, does it make sense to vote on them tonight?
okay.
I mean, if we have to vote on them again when they're finalized,
Do we have to?
I don't think that's what we
okay.
Okay.
So then
Only
if it doesn't,
If the articles
there's a
change.
right, so if we don't have to revote if there isn't a change, then vote tonight, and any that have not changed, we don't have to vote on again the next time.
Yeah.
So we have draft recommendations,
And there may be
basically.
some that you're just not ready to vote on anyway.
Sure, this is not gonna be info, we're gonna have questions.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Excuse me.
So we'll go into 3 then. See if the town will vote to transfer from available funds the amount of $9,000 to contract for professional services to research and construct a wage and classification plan for managerial and supervisory positions, or take any action relative thereto.
Yeah, that was submitted by me, and the approval of the board. And one of the problems I think we've had for a number of years is that there hasn't been a systemic approach to what people shouldn't be paid in the management level, employees. Even though there's a collective bargaining group that's being formed, business now, the reality is we don't have a good basis for how we're paying people. And I think the issue came up within the last couple of years, that there was some concerns about, some people got significant increases, some positions weren't addressed, and that's what we're trying to avoid. One of the, we would hire a third-party consultant to do this. There's a number of firms that do this. One in particular that I think does it very well. In addition to that, one of the things we would be doing internally is we really need to revise or develop position descriptions, update them, standardize them. So that's a piece that we'd be doing in-house instead of paying someone else to do. But to do the research, the technical analysis, and put together proposed classifications, and also one of the things I think we're going to find is that some positions are underpaid and some are overpaid. That's usually the way it works out. And the issue is how do you address those positions that are underpaid, and that becomes a policy decision, because we're not looking to give 8, 7, $10,000 raises. You're looking to get people up to certain points over periods of time. And then that is a professional exercise that it makes sense to have an independent third party to try to take the politics out of that. So that would be the goal here.
Okay.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Discussion? Those in favor? Opposed? Article 4, see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds sums of money for the purpose of funding and implementing collective bargaining agreements between the town and the following units: clerical, highway, park, sewer, or take any action relative thereto.
We have a tentative agreement with the Clerical Association that essentially mirrors the Library Association. And I think we talked about this, yeah. There is no pending agreement with the park and sewer unit at this time. So
This is something.
rather than you approve it now, at some point, and probably within the next week or two, I will be able to actually give you an executed MOA that will be a public document. So I don't feel I can give that to you right now, but be aware that it essentially mirrors the library union agreement that was approved by the town. Was it a special town meeting?
I'll make a motion to, with,
Just pass over.
Pass over.
pass over this article temporarily,
Second.
Until we have further information.
Second.
Discussion then. Do we
You wouldn't
need
vote
to do
pass
that?
over, you
Yeah.
just vote
Yeah.
to table it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
you table
that-
it.
You wouldn't even have to vote.
Yeah,
you
just
Table.
just move on to the next one. Do you want to withdraw your motion?
Yep, I'll withdraw my motion.
Withdraw your second.
Withdraw.
Thank you. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to transfer $24,112.09 from the water conservation account to the town of Rockland General Fund for Abington's portion of pension costs assessed to the town of Rockland by Plymouth County Retirement in fiscal year 2009, or take any action relative thereto. It's by the water commissioners.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Discussion?
Yeah, do you remember this? I don't know if you were here when this was
I was here when
explained.
when the water department was here.
Okay, it was the old,
Oh.
it was the remainder of our payment for pension that was being paid by Rockland that we didn't
Yep.
pick up on. Okay.
This is the final payment, I believe, right?
I think so.
Right. It was for several years. It was
5 years.
5 years that underpayment.
Yes.
Is an Article 2 for 2010, so there's another
Well,
139,000.
this will be the last one. This town meeting will be the last. This is year 4. This will be year 5.
They didn't put anything in year 4 last year, they wouldn't have put it in there. I'd like to check it before we make sure there wasn't anything from previous. Because this seems like a small amount compared to the next one. And then if it's an addition,
Yeah.
Yeah, if you, we'll verify that in the, obviously, the annual audit.
Significantly.
We'll verify that. Everybody understands what's happened here, or what happened, so.
I think it's a valid question on the difference between the two.
We'll get you some commentary on that from you,
I'm gonna rescind my motion.
The second on that.
Oh, we said
table.
Thank you. So moving on to the annual warrant. That'll be done. Article 1,
I think I know where you're going with this one, so.
yeah, that'll be already decided at that point. To elect 1 moderator, 1 town clerk, 2 selectmen.
And just so you know, this technically is the election warrant, and that is being posted separately, so it is actually in advance of the election, as required by law.
So that won't even be on there at that point anyways.
So we can just skip over that because they're going to be probably pulling that off there.
Article 2, to see if the town will vote to authorize the water commissioners to take from the water undesignated fund balance the sum of $139,821.02 to be transferred to the town of Rockland General Fund for Abington's portion of pension costs assessed to the town of Rockland by Plymouth County Retirement in fiscal year 2010, or take any action relative thereto.
And similar to the special, we'll get you a statement regarding how these articles work together, so who's going to be on
So, Article 3, will the town vote to authorize the water commissioners to take from the water undesignated fund balance the sum of $7,636.14 for the purpose of sick leave buyback
The name's not going to appear in the warrant, by the way.
for a water department employee, or take any other action relative thereto.
motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Article 4, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $11,000 for sick leave buyback for a retired police officer, or take any action relative thereto.
I would ask you to hold off on that, because in the last week or so, the town accountant and the police chief have had discussions about whether or not there's actually an amount in the existing article that would cover this, so funds available in the existing budget are still questionable, so we'll get you an
Okay.
update on that.
Article 5, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $19,065 for sick leave buyback for a fire captain EMT who is scheduled to retire on June 6, 2014, or take any action relative thereto.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Discussion? Those in favor? Six, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $1,500 for hazardous waste collection for residents for the spring and summer to utilize other towns' hazardous waste days or take any action relative thereto. That's a standard one we see every year. It varies from town to town.
Right. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor? Seven, will the town vote to authorize the water commissioners to take from the water undesignated fund balance the sum of $35,000.00 for the purpose of purchasing a heavy-duty pickup truck or take any other action relative thereto?
Just, as you can see, the next three are capital. I think last year, I think historically, the town's put capital off until the fall town meeting. So if that's still your pleasure, I just want, I think, 7, 8, and 9 are in that category. Even though they have a dedicated funding source, I think, my understanding is you would generally keep capital, irrelevant of what enterprise.
I have some questions on that one also. I think there was some discussion during the water meeting about a substantial amount of money that they were sitting on. So I'd like to get some more info on that.
Do you want to ask them back, Chad?
Yeah, let me dig through my notes. I came into the warrant review and there was some conversation there that it may not be in the funds that we think it's in, designated versus undesignated. So I think.
Right, I think the question, part of the question was the timing of their own, it was almost an anticipation of a certified undesignated fund balance amount, and it wasn't yet in the bank, so I think that was part of the issue.
There was something like hundreds of thousands of dollars, a couple of $100,000, I think that, and I had some real heartburn over the rates going up and that money sitting there and then asking for this stuff.
Right. I agree.
Well, and I think also that just the fundamental capital belongs with capital.
Sure, that too. And we can take it up in the fall. And
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to, like, make a side note to have them come back
Yeah.
in?
come back in, or I can.
If you'd like, we can speak to the water department and see if they'd be more than willing to just ask these to be removed from the warrant, resubmitted
At the
when
fall?
we do a capital plan. But I can request that, I can't make them, obviously.
Sure.
I don't want to just do that. People think I should do it, I'll be happy to do it.
Consensus
Not
on
my
that?
warrant, but.
No, I think it should be in capital.
So if it isn't, I mean, I think we should have a decision on that. And that maybe we pass over it if it isn't removed.
Well, you needed more information though, regardless of
Mhm.
whether it's on there or not, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Where the money's coming from and all of that.
So we'll just move on to 8 then.
I
Yeah.
do have my notes from when they were in.
Okay.
They had their undesignated fund was around 450,000 in it. They also had apparently a surplus of about 150,000.
Okay.
Which we needed clarification on.
Yes.
Oh,
Can you ask for clarification on that? Is that an explanation? Because okay.
You want to table it for now?
We can go to 8. I don't think we need to take any action on it, right?
Okay. Nope.
Same with 9.
Yeah, go to 10.
Go to 10.
Do the same for 8 and 9. Move to 10 to see if the town will fund $5,000 for services provided to survivors of sexual assault and their families in the fiscal year 2014.
Motion to approve?
Second?
I have a discussion item on that. Is that
Yep.
gonna be reworded to the new verbiage that the presenter came and gave to us?
That would be the motion. The
Okay.
motion has to be.
Gonna ask the same
petition
question.
has been-
Okay.
Prepare a motion that would be a little more, provide more explanation.
Yes, that would be great.
That's a good question, too. That will then be, if we vote it here, it obviously won't be in the budget, because there was a line item for, I think, 4,000 in the budget. Has that been,
I think it was 5.
I can't remember exactly what, but I think there had been, I think historically, it was previously called Women's Place Crisis Center.
Mhm.
Something in the budget.
yeah, I think there was
Obviously,
a
we don't
line,
want it in both places, so.
right, I think
Right.
there was a line item that was put in there, was it was
Yeah.
either 4 or 5,
Right.
but when we talked about it preliminarily, so.
I think it's, I'm just gonna guess because it's something that has been approved habitually. It was, at some point, somebody decided, well, why don't we just put it in the budget, put it in every year. But however, the format is not important to me, it's just, but if you, it is a petition article, so you can't remove it from the warrant, so unless, it's easier to remove it from the budget, so.
Mhm.
Unless there's any objections, I'll make that.
So as long as it's not in both places.
Mm-hmm.
So the motion right now would be for this, so that motion would have to come off and then a new motion with,
Well, no, I think the, well,
and word it the way that it should be worded. Do we want it worded?
yeah.
We don't vote on the motion, though, we vote on the article. We make our recommendation on the article, and then the motion is the legal
Okay.
language that we get from legal counsel.
So we vote on it as it is.
Right, because we can't change.
Yeah, if you're not gonna support it, we won't even, and I know it's just
I
hypothetical.
support it.
You wouldn't bother writing a motion for not to support, so.
So we'll vote on the motion.
Another quick question. We vote on this, does it take money then out of the budget?
Right.
And then do we, what is our budget kind of looking like? I guess, are we gonna have enough money to be able to do our operating budget plus some of these money articles that are in here? Isn't that?
Well, I would just off
I
the
know it's
top
not
of
a
my
lot,
head,
but-
I'll make a few comments. I think I was gonna give you a little update as to where we're heading at the end of the meeting, just briefly. But I think you'll find that from a money standpoint, if you take out the capital, and you take out the required contractual buybacks, there's really not much on here for money. So I don't think there's a lot of options that you have right now in terms of to support money articles, so.
Well, and I think just, I'm thinking more table this because it also does not designate where it is coming from. So until we can clarify.
The motion would certainly do that, and I'm just gonna presume, $5,000 does not make or break budget stuff, so you have to presume it would be to raise and appropriate $5,000 with the appropriate verbiage, so. But again, however you wanna do it is fine, but if it's the intent for you to support this when there's a good motion, then we'll make sure you have a good motion. I'm not gonna bother putting together a good motion if you're not gonna support it. So
Right.
just leave it like that, I'll be happy to press it in time.
Mhm.
So there's a motion and a second for approval. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed?
No, I mean, I like the clarification. It's fine.
Article 11, see if the town will vote to accept section 3 to 7 include, how long is this one? Do I need to read every one of these? Okay. Article 11,
You can say.
everybody start reading.
Article 11
This is the
as-
Preservation Act.
as
Article
presented
11
in your-
as presented in the draft warrant.
There you go.
Yep.
Thank you.
This
Save
is
it
the
some time.
community preservation.
I'll make a motion to approve it. So it'll go to the ballot.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
I'm the new guy, but I don't necessarily think this is the time for this.
Thank you.
with other priorities the town has right now. And I think that if we put it out there right now, it would be dooming it to failure, at least this time around. Whether or not it's something that we should do, I don't think that it would be even fair to the petition to put it through now.
I would definitely like to see a group of people that could research it a little bit more in the future. I would have to agree that it would be I think it would be a difficult to pass this at a ballot right now. And I think even the expense of putting it to the ballot, we don't have really right now. But the return for what you're investing, but what you're putting money into, to get that kind of money back, I wouldn't want to close the door on that and turn it down. Timing-wise, I would have to agree with you, Matt.
Does this need a special election, or is it gonna go in the general election?
It would go on to the next scheduled election. We wouldn't call a special election for this.
So we'd have the expense anyways
Correct.
for the, okay.
It wouldn't be extra expense
Right, you
for,
wouldn't hold a special election.
Okay, because that was,
I'm torn on this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I agree, it is a tough one, but I think it's more than fair to let the people in the town have their
Yeah.
say.
I agree with that too.
I think the petitioner knows the town and knows anything else that's going on, and they chose to bring it at this time. I know my thoughts on it, but I think that the town should have the ability to vote on it and let the residents decide that way.
If this goes on the ballot, like if they approved it at town floor and it goes on the ballot, then what else is gonna be on that on the ballot? Is that the time that we're gonna vote the school at the same time? Isn't that gonna be in the fall?
In theory, the vote for, identification vote for school could be this October, November, at some point.
And that would be the next election where this would fall.
Question is, that need technical required. Bad information, that would be a special election itself, it wouldn't be a regularly scheduled election, so I don't know if this could actually go on that ballot. I'll have to clarify that. I've generally seen these at the regularly scheduled town election, annual election, not a special. So I can clarify that particular point for you. The other piece is that I got a call today from the woman at the CTA Coalition in Boston, who was offered to provide any information, presentations, and groups that obviously they're a pro-CPA group, that's what they do. So that was unsolicited, but I just wanted to let you know that that's available to you and others if that's what you would like to get more information from that group.
I go back and forth, because I think I wanted to have a fighting chance to win at the ballot. But I also think, well, it could also be helpful having this in place when building a new school and some of the things that are able to be done, that we wouldn't have to put, I don't know.
Just look at it as
It's a tough-
it's just another charge, though. It's more.
Well, and that's
We
why
could
I would think
do
it would be
great
difficult
things
to.
with more money all the time. It's another charge. It's another, and it's minimal, but it's still more. It's still coming out of the residents'
But
pockets.
the return that you're getting, like that's, you know, it's a
think-
charge
I
with
think-
money coming back.
But
I
is that
think-
return always that great? Like I said, now, it's based on the amount of money that's put into the, on every time there's a deed recorded or a mortgage?
All the registry fees, the registry of deeds, the recording fees.
Is a surcharge on one?
It's the recording of deeds. It goes into this trust.
Okay. So given the state of real estate market as it is, kind of what is our, you know, like the return could be, it could be very well, good, or like I said, they had that influx of, what, 23 million or something one year? But then that's not gonna be like all the time stuff. I think the towns, I know the towns and cities that got in on it right away really made out when it first came out, and it just kind of seemed to drop and drop and drop and drop. So, I mean, there's no guarantee in anything, but there's,
Yeah.
That's too why I would like to have
The
a
only
group that
guarantee
could
is-
say to us, you know, okay, for putting this amount in, your return is this. You'd be spending this over here, so you come, you know, is that actually, is my dollar better spent doing it this way, or is my dollar better spent doing it that way?
and the amount that we would pay extra on our tax, does that go into the operating, for operating budget, or does that have to be kind of, does that have to be
That goes-
segregated, and then this is added to it, so that's segregated for things?
Correct.
So it's a savings account,
That is correct.
so you could be putting it, but it's not gonna guarantee that we're gonna get, for our portion that we pay. So if I paid an extra $60 a year, that's not going to the general budget, it's gonna be
It's correct.
like a kitty to the side.
And can be used only for those
For
designated
these,
purposes.
just these things, right?
So the amount that is designated from the state's trust fund and the amount
That we
provided
put.
by the town's payers would be segregated. And it'd have to be a separate committee that would make recommendations to the town as to how to spend those funds, and it had to be appropriated every year at town meeting. So it's cumbersome, but
Further discussion?
What do you think about it?
The,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to.
There's a motion there.
quick question to Rick. The person who called from the state
yes.
agency, would they be able to provide numbers like how much in fees is there at the registry that we are not receiving, so that we could balance that against what a 1.5% or 3% or whatever
Well,
the number would be that we would have to spend to be able to access that money?
Well, I think the information that I gave the board a couple meetings ago, in fact, you were on the correspondence actually came to the finance committee and the board of selectmen.
Jack distributed the,
Yeah, I
the
think it was
paper.
about $67,000 of Abington money that was paid in fees that was available to the trust. But keep in mind, we don't, that gets, those goes in the trust and it gets distributed to the community to
Yep.
accept it. So it doesn't sit there and wait forever.
No.
So
It's going.
correct.
Yeah.
And I saw that on Jack's information that he gave when he was here, the 2014 estimate for reimbursement was 23%. What exactly, 23% of what to who?
23% of the town's contribution. So the town's contribution would be, again, I'm not the advocate for the program.
No.
The petitioner is, and if you exempt the first $100,000 in property taxes, which is a fairly common thing among towns, I think the average was about $50, $60 per household.
$56 a
Mhm.
So that's what the 23% is based upon. Of course, it also works that, at 3%, you get a geometrically larger portion of it. It's not just, you don't just double or triple, because you get basically three funding rounds per percent. So the percentage that you accept is also important to what that reimbursement number is.
It was $52 a year on a $300,000 home. $129 a year on a $600,000 home.
I will get you the information, or I will verify what the requirements are, so that there's no question whether or not it will coincide with the vote on the debt exclusion, or if we wait until next year's town election. Yeah, I mean, it may or may not be helpful in the end, but it's
Mhm.
I was just looking at, when I asked you about that surcharge, it's $20 for any document or instrument, so that would be deeds, mortgages, anything but the MLCs. So I was just kind of looking, and this is just my own way, I have to think about it, I guess. It's the fact that if you look at these towns and cities that signed on early on, especially like maybe, what, 03, 4, 5, 6, they made a lot of money. I think they got a bigger portion, but there was also a heck of a lot more going on. That was during the refi craziness, when people were refining and putting mortgages on every 6 months. So there was much more just cranking through those registries. Refi market now is, 'cause I see it, I work in it every day, is pretty much slim to none. So you would be relying on purchases of properties and stuff. I mean, that's picking up a little bit, but, so it's not got the bang that it had then. I'm not saying it's bad, I'm not going at it one way or another, it's just, doesn't have the bang that it did several years ago.
Market was crazy.
Crazy.
So there's a motion and a second. Waiting for anybody. All those in favor? And opposed? Abstaining?
I'm abstaining.
Yeah, it's,
We can,
Sounds like they'll be taking this up.
I think we should table it.
about-
Let me verify that
You
information.
can't table it now.
No.
Right. vote's
Right,
been done.
or
But,
rescind the
yeah.
motion for
Well,
reconsideration.
no, Rick wanted to vote, so, but later on, Rick could ask to, or anyone could ask to reconsider
Right.
at any
Yep.
time.
But for,
But you could change your vote now with another vote. You just can't table it. You've already made a vote and you took account, so it's actually made its vote. I'm sorry. I would love to say take it back so I don't have to write all this, but.
So what do you want to do?
Well, that was our
And you
vote.
can, right now, if you wish to change this vote, you can vote to reconsider Article 11, and that would all be unanimous, and then do your new vote or whatever you wish to change or say at this point.
or I'm moving to 12.
1 to 12.
There we go. But with one vote, does that
12's
approve?
another- 12's another short.
It can be reopened at any point.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it doesn't move or do anything with the motion.
okay.
Article 12, acceptance of new roadways as public ways. They're as written, and that's Bradford Street, Colantoni Way, and Jean Carroll Road.
I would like to motion that we defer to the
Planning board?
planning board for Article 12, A, B, and C.
Have a motion? Second. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Thirteen, revolving fund article. This one's not that long. See if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Library Trustees to continue a revolving account in accordance with MGL Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half. Said account shall be for the purpose of maintaining public meeting rooms beyond regular hours of library operation, funded by receipts from private groups using the meeting facilities after regular hours of operations. To be expended by the Library Board of Trustees, not to exceed $1,000 for the ensuing fiscal year, or take any action relative thereto.
Make a motion to approve, they put that in every year.
Yeah, I think, yeah,
Kinda messed up.
there's a, should be a list of all the existing revolving funds for the organization, so.
On the next
Yeah, on
page,
the
it
next
gives
page,
the
continues.
set account
Several.
for the purpose of.
I think we had revised it into a grid though for the purposes of ease of town meeting, so you could do it all as one article.
Right.
So we have a motion with no second. We can move to 14 then and come back.
I'll second.
We have a second. Discussion?
You want to go over the rest of the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
items.
I'm not reading all of those.
Is there any new ones in here? I don't think there is there? Can we do them all at once?
Yes.
We could? Let's see.
In the end, when this draft is finalized, they'll all be, I think we're
In
gonna
the
add
chat.
to one article anyway, so.
Okay.
You wanna just reauthorize all the existing revolving funds.
Okay, I'll make a motion to revise all the existing, no?
We got a motion out there right
Oh,
now.
okay.
Yeah, we already have a motion on 13, so if you want to withdraw that and then do whatever.
All right, I'll withdraw that motion.
So I'll withdraw my second.
I'll make a motion to, what was it we were supposed to say?
We can just wait.
Reauthorize.
We can wait until
Reauthorize.
it's done.
Reauthorize it.
All right.
Yeah, we could.
Whatever you want to do. You have a motion?
Yeah, I have a motion.
I'll second to reauthorize.
Discussion?
What is reauthorizing?
Reauthorizing all the existing revolving.
Right.
So the revolving accounts that we already have, with no change in the dollar amount of how much they can, you know, how high
How
it is.
much they can
will
have
s-
in them.
will continue on to the next year, just as they did last year.
All those in favor? Opposed? 14 is a placeholder. We'll move to 15. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds the sum of $14,000 for student transportation services to Abington students attending out-of-district vocational schools as non-resident students for the 2014-2015 school year, or take any action relative thereto.
Motion to approve. They do this every year, it's the
Mhm.
transportation.
Second that.
Second discussion. All those in favor? Opposed?
Hmm? What is this next one?
Mm.
16. To see if the town will vote to change Chapter 152-4, quorum of the town bylaws. The quorum of any annual or special town meeting shall be 75 registered voters of the quorum of town meeting. This one needs some help.
Yep.
To 75, language to follow,
How many,
by Board of Selectmen.
how many times have we?
It was the chairman of the board's concern about quorum, so he submitted this.
What do we do about the language?
Sorry?
Is this just typos?
Yes.
Okay.
So
So it would,
reduce the existing.
from 150 to 75.
That is the point.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Discussion? All those in favor?
Right.
Opposed?
Voted on.
At least it's not one.
That would be great.
0.
Yeah. Everyone would show up.
So it's amazing how many people show up when there is a zero.
That's a, yeah.
I think it would be great.
Article 17. See if the town will vote to change the language in the town charter, section 3-16, vacancy in office, to add the words members in attendance, language to follow.
That would, the intent of this is, if you, right now, both, I think in the charter, but also in state law, if you have a vacancy in elected board, the vacancy is filled by the joint vote of both committees. Unfortunately, there have been times when there wasn't a quorum of the other elected board to participate with the selectmen. So that's what this is intended to do, to ensure that in the event that there isn't actually a quorum of it, just pick an elected board, just for the sake of argument, the sewer commissioners. If you only have one sewer commissioner, in theory, you have no special election, instead of having that existing member participate in the board of selectmen. So that's what the intent is, to make sure that you don't hold special elections to appoint people to boards.
This is only for elected, not for appointed.
Correct.
Oh. All right.
Right, because there's no, unfortunately or fortunately, appointed boards don't have any say in who gets appointed to their board. But under statute and the charter, elected boards do have the ability, do participate in filling the elected vacancies.
So with language to follow,
To make sure that, and this will be, there'll be some assistance from town council to make sure that the charter, the existing charter language is, because this will take actually a change of charter. This is not just a bylaw change.
and I guess we should address this in 16, would we want to wait until that language follows?
That's fine. I mean, you know the intent.
Yeah.
The question, I think, that was raised by the Board of Selectmen was more relative to, unlike the issue of the quorum, that's a bylaw set by bylaw, this is a charter provision, whether or not that would take special legislation, or whether or not the charter review committee should take its time and put this on the table and make a decision if that's something they want to bring forward to change the charter. So it's somewhat of a procedural question that was raised by the Board of Selectmen too, so keep that in mind.
So can we wait on this until they figure out what the procedure is? 'Cause-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like there was any disagreement, it was again,
Yeah,
is it better
procedure.
to just deal with any special legislation required that would take to do this more quickly, if this type of issue arose that, where you have a charter review in 2014.
Okay.
But the town, as you know, experienced that exact problem just recently, that's why it raised that.
Okay.
18, to see if the town will vote, to see if the town will create a Department of Public Works, language to follow. I'd like to wait on the language. Thank you. Article 19, to see if the town will adopt the following bylaw concerning licensing pawnbrokers. Stephanie, were you going to read the rest of this one?
No, I'm good.
I remember the conversation
As
on
written.
this.
This is a long one.
And obviously, this is submitted by the police chief.
He was in and told us how we researched this and went to other departments and used a model from another department to do this one. There is quite a problem with pawnbrokers and stuff.
And this addresses some of those issues that you had
Right.
said.
It addresses them all.
Motion to approve
I'll second it.
Article 19.
Discussion? Is everybody done reading?
I think we,
Cliff Notes
I remember it.
version.
Mm-hmm.
For those that weren't here for that discussion.
So,
Do you want a minute?
in a nutshell,
Oh, in a nutshell, because you weren't.
Yeah.
There's certain issues with pawnbrokers, so with how they show up in town and do business, and there's not a lot of, what's the word?
Regulation.
Oversight.
Oversight. So this gives more, this gives they have to follow all of these, like the.
so a photograph
the
must be taken,
Identification. So
held
if
for
people
a
are
year.
stealing things and going,
And
they have
pawning
to, yeah, and pawning them, they have to show identification, and this is really specific about what kind of identification, and, that a picture has to be taken of them, and, you know, that all of this kind of backup information needs to be
Okay.
done, so that should there be a problem with someone's items,
Yep.
Can be investigated.
it can be looked into by the police department.
And it also allows them to have access to their records. Their
Should they
investigation.
need.
Yeah. It's a requirement to do business. I think it's a great
Mhm.
article.
Okay.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
I can probably short circuit this a little bit, Article 20 and Article 24, board has not determined yet if they're gonna recommend these. Article 20, right now we have a permanent dumping town that has this language that says landfill material. And there's the questionable enforcement of that versus, some people look at that as any fill, some would look at it as, well, landfill material, which has its own definition. So the building commissioner has suggested a change that would make that clear that it would be any type of fill. So the selectmen have not decided yet if, they have not made a recommendation on that themselves. In theory, that could come off the warrant if they decide they don't want to sponsor that article. I suspect they will, but I don't know that for certain yet.
Unless there's a compelling reason, we'll move along.
And Article 24 is along the same lines. We had a particular issue, I say we, in town, collector's office, with a particular establishment. And the town, the bylaw that the town currently has allows for the non-issuance or renewal of licenses if people haven't paid taxes. Law allows you to apply that to any unpaid obligations to the town. But the selectmen have not decided yet that they definitely want to sponsor this article. I think there'll have to be some further explanation as to whether or not the treasurer collector feels that's really necessary right now. The whole issue of whether or not this has other impacts on businesses. So I don't want to have you deliberating on items that may not even be supported or sponsored ultimately by the board of selectmen. The only other issue here, Article 23, clearly that was not submitted by the board of selectmen, that was submitted by the Oklahoma Energy Social and Low-Tech School.
It's all right. It's fine. 21, to amend Chapter 16-4, application criteria, sale of vehicles of the general code by deleting A, the total Class 2 licenses available shall be 25.
Motion to approve.
This is bookkeeping.
Yeah.
This confusion we all have over bylaws versus the general code. This is making these consistent.
Is this based on the change from, I think it was last year? There was a revision made at town meeting based on a warrant article, but maybe it wasn't updated in the general code?
Yeah, it's in confusion over exactly what this general code is.
Okay.
The general code, in my opinion, is it's a charter of bylaws. And it's any required regulation, for instance, the planning board's required to have subdivision control laws, subdivision control regulations, but the general code, there's some feeling that the general code is separate from this other body of, and there's some confusion over that. I don't believe that it is separate. I think that's just a codification of those main documents and regulations of the town. Codification, not a separate document that has to be amended when, so.
This is the, the process by which we limit the amount of Class 2 licenses, correct? 164-4, application criteria, sale of vehicles. So is that where there cannot be,
Well, that's the intent, but I'm not sure on
what's the intent?
limitation of used car sales.
Hmm.
Right. To keep it to 20, that we would allow 25 such businesses in the town of Abington?
Wasn't it like last year, I think Stephanie mentioned
Yeah.
something, I don't think we can limit it.
Right.
I didn't think.
Yeah, we've done this before.
Well, they've talked about it before, but didn't there something come up to say that we can't limit the amount of Class 2 licenses that we're
Well, this is just gonna
And this
delete
would be
another
the-
place of that, right?
That would just be deleting that line.
So last year it was deleted in one place, and this
And
year
now
it's
they're
gonna be
removing
deleted in
it
another.
from,
I think
I
that's,
would,
but it. that
Can we
would
get
check it.
clarification
Yeah.
on that?
Get a little
Yeah.
clarification.
Yeah.
I don't know that there needs to be any change or reference. I will also suggest that in the charter review process coming up, cleaning up any of this language regarding general code should be dealt with, because it's, I think it's confusing a lot of people unnecessarily.
So there was a motion, does that have to go away or go along, since there was no second?
He has to rescind it.
Okay.
Withdraw.
Uh,
Right.
I'll withdraw the motion.
Thank you, Rick.
did I second it?
No.
There's no second. 22, to see if the town will vote to extend the term of the intermunicipal agreement for regional cooperation in the provision of solid waste and recycling services for the South Shore Recycling Cooperative for an additional term through June 30th, 2018. And further, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to execute, I guess that's what that meant, and deliver an amended intermunicipal agreement, a copy of which is on file in the office of the town clerk to effect the extension of the term and other changes set forth therein, or act on anything relating thereto.
Any intermunicipal agreement over a certain period of time, well, unless it's specifically exempted by statute, requires town meeting approval. So all you're really doing is voting to extend the existing agreement with that organization.
Couldn't they just say that?
Is it their recycling and their
I'm not a
trash?
lawyer. I can't, if I was a lawyer, I could make that.
This is
law.
the group that does
Recycling and
hazardous
trash,
waste
is that what
days.
it is?
No,
Recycling
yeah,
and trash?
recycling, we actually
Solid waste
partner with
recycling
a
services.
co-op that, they assist us with such things, but it's actually a
Amended.
coalition that we belong to. We don't contribute. Most of the money is state funded. In fact, you probably get notices occasionally in these meetings with the South Shore Recycling Cooperative. You might. But that's actually, it really is South Shore. And I think every single community in this entire region has belonged to us for several years. Happy to get you a copy of the existing intermunicipal agreement if you'd like to see it. I'll get it to you. I'll get it to you anyway, even if you don't want to see it. I suspect
You're gonna
most
look
of
at
you
it.
probably don't. But this is an essentially a technical matter where town meeting does have to approve intermunicipal agreements over a certain number of years.
A motion to approve Article 22.
Second?
Discussion?
I'm still gonna get you a copy of it.
Yeah, I was trying
It's
to.
on
Yeah.
file in the office of the town clerk. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. And 23, to see if the town will vote to approve the establishment of a stabilization fund according to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, Section 16G and a half for the South
Motion to-
Shore Regional School District.
Sorry, motion to pass over.
Second?
Discussion?
What is this?
It would allow the South Shore VOTAC to have a stabilization fund, similar to like the stabilization fund that the town has.
Right, but
But-
for,
For the purposes of,
Among other things, a new boiler.
yeah, larger,
Okay.
larger, like capital items. But when you vote their budget, you would vote
right.
the stabilization money
It's-
amount would be in their budget. So when you vote their budget, which we, again, we don't get a lot of kind of say-so on the, because.
Right, we get, here it is. Mhm.
Because, how the other towns have to.
Absolutely.
So if you don't like the stabilization amount that they want to put in their budget, it says, we're going to put X amount into stabilization. And you're okay with the rest of the budget, but you're not okay with that, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
It goes through with the budget,
Well,
all in
and
one.
it seems a little redundant to me.
Right.
Okay. Okay,
So
just
that's-
wanted to
Well, it's already
clarify.
done, and it's a way to get that stabilization funded. And this required, was it a majority or a three-quarter?
2/3, I think.
Two-thirds
Yeah,
of the
to
towns?
establish the fund.
Yeah.
And
I-
then once and then it would be expended by majority.
Of the school committee,
of the
not of the
school
towns.
committee.
Correct.
It then gets voted.
We only have one vote on that committee.
Right.
And
Okay.
Mr. Hickey, Tom Hickey did discuss that primarily they're looking to establish this for the sake of dealing with capital.
Okay.
Large capital, mid-range capital type of items that
Too small to borrow.
All right, I understand now. Okay.
So there's a motion and a second to pass over. Anyone have anything further on it? All those in favor? Opposed? And that's the end of the warrants. Next would be updates on 24
Oh, that was our-
was,
yeah.
yeah, Rick spoke on 24. Budget update, yeah.
based upon the information you've already received, I know you're aware that if you look at the budget request today, the town will be approximately $1.7 million spending deficit, state revenue for next year. Right now, it would be very easy for me to give you a budget on paper that would be horrible and create tremendous stir, probably have revolts at town meetings, like the boards and committees. As of right now, what we're doing is multiple things. First, we have had, I've had a follow-up meeting with the school superintendent for the VOTEC to have further discussion about that assessment and how he has suggested that I lay out this town's current fiscal predicament for next year to their school committee to see if they'd be willing to reduce their overall budget amount. That would obviously result in assessment savings to the town. The bad news is that even if the budget was level, based upon the minimum funding formula, the contribution required of Abington, the assessment would go up about $150,000 just for a level budget. So, but anything over that, the town, because of our relative population of students that participate, would see savings of about 25% of every dollar that the budget is reduced. So, it will be a substantial increase anyway, but $283,000 is obviously, that's a lot of money. And they understand that. So we have had a follow-up discussion, both the school superintendent and business manager, assistant superintendent, and myself and the town accountant, just this past week. So we will be making that appeal to the regional VOTEC school committee. Snow over expenditure, it doesn't look like we're going to have any relief from what we had held aside that contributes to that gap that I outlined. We had held aside for $400,000 as potential over expenditure, and as of this week, we were about 10,000 short of hitting that. So that is some really unbelievable budgeting. I appreciate that. So, hopefully, we won't have any other major incidents that will cause that to compromise it even further. The health insurance has, as of this morning, the Mayflower Board met and approved the rates for next year, which do include a 0% increase for FY15. So from the former, so that will save us approximately $200,000 from the early estimates that we had to plan for. Third quarter receipts should be available next week so that we can determine if our local receipt estimates for next year are overly conservative. They're certainly not, weren't limbo, but if there's any opportunity there to look at additional revenue for next year, we'll be reviewing that. And local aid deliberations, as you know, are ongoing. The last House Senate joint resolution include about $50,000 more dollars, but by the time it's played out in the formula, about $50,000 additional dollars that would, an unrestricted local government aid that would apply to Abington. Unfortunately, there's no other significant aid. It is typical that now the House and Senate will each probably address maybe some issues in particular issues, but I don't know that we can expect to see much more there. So next week, I've had discussions obviously with the school superintendent, and rather than, again, give you the Armageddon mathematical exercise, our financial group is going to be twice next week, for probably a total of about 8 hours, so that we're all very comfortable with the budget presentations that have been made to us, so that the intent at least would be to provide a joint or a collective recommendation to the Finance Committee on how we'll approach this budget. And so that's where we stand. And I wish I had a little more for you at this time, but I think for the reasons, I'm sure you can appreciate the reasons why it makes sense for us to try and have a shared opinion or recommendation. I will say that it's not going to be a particularly good budget for Abington either way. And I think that's probably typical of a lot of medium and small towns like the Abington and all, so. So that's the good news.
Okay.
So next week we aren't meeting. Do you,
I will be happy to give you a report as a chairman probably by the end of next week, because it's a week Monday and we're going to meet again Thursday for probably the entirety of both mornings and whatever follow-up we need to do. So I will be happy, I will provide you an update on that process next week if you want.
okay. So tentatively, we'll plan to meet on the 16th. And we can start discussions then, maybe. If not, we'll cancel that meeting. That would be the only thing left. Everything else we've got out of the way at this point.
That seems like a reasonable target date.
Okay.
Yeah.
Minutes. We have minutes from March 26th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of March 26th.
Discussion, one point on there for anybody tells me that we weren't going to meet tonight. That should say the April 2nd, 2014 meeting of the Finance Committee.
I mean, if the minutes could reflect that the chairman was correct.
It says articles to be reviewed at the April 4th, 2014 meeting of the Finance Committee. And that would be April 2nd.
So confused.
This is a motion and a second for the minutes. All in favor? Everybody was here, opposed? Great, thank you. Next meeting, again, is April 16th. Yes?
Just one other quick more notice while everybody's here on the agenda, but the town did receive its written approval last week, and that was affairs to form a district, so we're moving ahead with that. We've gotten some tremendous help from the area, particularly Tony over in Rockland, so we're getting by, but our goal is to have some, hopefully a part-time retired agent in here for at least a day or two a week by mid or late April. So just as a quick, just for your knowledge.
I'd like to add that to the agenda, if you could give us a little update on the 16th.
Excellent.
Thank you. Entertain a motion, anybody?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Discussion? Oh, all those in favor? Opposed?
I know.
Yeah, I know.
I let him have it a few weeks, you know, he had his whole birthday and